Let me tell you something most people won't say out loud. Love doesn't stay because you give more. Love stays because you value yourself enough to draw a line. See, a man doesn't fall in love when you chase him. Self-respect is the foundation of lasting attraction because it quietly sets the standard for how others are allowed to treat you. When a woman respects herself, she does not need to announce her worth or demand validation. It shows in the way she speaks, the way she carries herself, and the choices she makes when no one is watching. She does not chase attention because she knows attention is cheap and respect is earned. This energy creates curiosity and admiration, especially in a man who understands value. He begins to see that being close to her is a privilege, not an entitlement. A woman with self-respect does not beg for time, clarity, or effort. She expects these things as basic requirements, not bonuses. When they are missing, she does not argue or over-explain. She simply steps back. That silence is powerful because it forces a man to reflect on his actions instead of reacting to her emotions. He realizes the access to her presence depends on how he shows up, not on empty promises or temporary charm. This realization changes his behavior more than any emotional appeal ever could. Self-respect also means honoring personal boundaries even when feelings are involved. It means saying no when something feels wrong, even if saying yes would keep someone close. This strength creates emotional safety and stability, which are deeply attractive qualities. A man feels challenged in a healthy way because he knows he cannot manipulate or take advantage of someone who knows her worth. He becomes more intentional, more thoughtful, and more consistent because he understands that carelessness could cost him something valuable. When self-respect leads the way, love grows from admiration instead of insecurity. The connection becomes rooted in choice rather than fear of loss. A man does not stay because he is needed, but because he wants to be present for someone who values herself enough to never abandon her own. Standards consistency is the true language of serious intention. Because words can be rehearsed, but patterns cannot be faked for long. Anyone can be charming on good days, attentive when it is convenient, or emotionally present when they fear losing access. But consistency reveals who someone really is when comfort replaces excitement. When a woman refuses to accept mixed signals, hot and cold behavior, or unpredictable effort, she is sending a clear message that emotional stability matters more than temporary chemistry. This expectation immediately separates genuine interest from casual curiosity. A man who knows inconsistency will not be tolerated becomes more aware of his action. He understands that disappearing, making excuses, or showing up only when it suits him will lead to distance, not drama. Instead of being rewarded for inconsistency with emotional availability, he is met with calm detachment. This response forces accountability without confrontation. It places responsibility where it belongs, on behavior rather than intention. Over time, a man either adjusts to meet the standard or removes himself, and both outcomes protect emotional well-being. Consistency also creates trust, which is essential for emotional attachment to deepen. When effort is steady, communication is clear, and presence is reliable, emotional safety develops naturally. A man feels more secure investing emotionally when he knows the connection is stable and not driven by emotional swings. This stability strengthens his attachment because it removes uncertainty and replaces it with reassurance. Love grows more deeply in an environment where actions align with words and expectations are clear. Refusing inconsistency is not about control or ultimatums. It is about honoring personal time, energy, and emotional capacity. When consistency becomes the minimum requirement, a man learns that access to emotional intimacy must be maintained through reliability, not intensity. This standard It elevates the connection and encourages mature behavior. Because the relationship is built on respect for boundaries and mutual effort. Rather than emotional chaos, boundaries are not walls meant to keep love out. They are guidelines that teach others how to love you properly. When a woman sets clear boundaries, she is not being difficult or distant. She is being honest about what she will and will not accept. This clarity removes confusion and emotional games, creating a dynamic where respect becomes the foundation of connection. A man quickly understands that emotional access is linked to behavior, not persuasion. And this understanding changes how he approaches the relationship. Healthy boundaries create a sense of value because they establish that time, energy, and emotional availability are not unlimited resources. When everything is freely given without conditions, it can be taken for granted. Boundary introduce intention. A man begins to invest more thoughtfully when he realizes that closeness must be earned through consistency and care. This investment strengthens emotional attachment because effort creates emotional ownership. People protect what they have worked for, and boundaries make effort necessary. Boundaries also protect emotional balance. They prevent resentment, burnout, and the slow erosion of self-worth that occurs when someone repeatedly tolerates behavior that causes discomfort. When a woman honors her boundaries, she remains emotionally grounded instead of reactive. This emotional stability is deeply attractive because it signals maturity and self-awareness. A man feels less chaos and more peace in the connection, which naturally draws him closer rather than pushing him away. Love deepens in spaces where limits are respected. Boundaries remove the need for constant explanations, arguments, or emotional bargaining. They allow actions to speak louder than words. When a man knows that disrespect leads to distance and respect leads to closeness, he becomes more mindful of how he shows up. Over time, boundaries stop feeling like restrictions and start feeling like structure, creating a relationship that feels secure, intentional, and emotionally safe. Commitment does not come from pressure, fear, or emotional dependency. It comes from a man recognizing that what he has is valuable and not easily replaced. When effort is required, a man becomes more engaged because his actions have meaning. Effort activates purpose. It forces him to be intentional rather than passive, present rather than convenient. A man may enjoy attention that costs him nothing, but he commits to what asks something of him. When effort is optional, involvement remains shallow. Convenience creates comfort, and comfort without responsibility leads to complacency. A man who is never challenged to show up will often stay undecided, not because he is incapable of commitment, but because nothing is being demanded of his character. When effort becomes the standard, he must decide whether he is willing to rise or walk away. That decision point is where commitment is born. He is no longer drifting, he is choosing. Effort creates emotional investment. Time, energy, consistency, and presence all require sacrifice. The more a man invests, the more connected he feels, because his actions tie his identity to the relationship. Psychology supports this truth. People value what they work for more than what is handed to them. When a man puts in effort, he begins to see the relationship as something he is building, not something he is casually participating in. This sense of ownership strengthens attachment and loyalty. Requiring effort does not mean chasing perfection or demanding unrealistic gestures. It means expecting follow-through, reliability, and emotional availability. It means noticing whether actions match words and responding accordingly. When effort is met with appreciation, but not desperation, a healthy dynamic forms. A man feels respected rather than controlled. He understands that his role matters and that his presence is meaningful. A man commits when he knows his effort makes a difference. When he sees that showing up consistently deepens trust and closeness, he is encouraged to continue. When he realizes that lack of effort creates distance, he becomes more mindful. This balance keeps attraction alive because it combines challenge with safety. Commitment grows strongest where effort is required, but never forced, where love is earned through action, and where respect is maintained through standards.